Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rakha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Numbers, the 30th chapter. And Moses spake unto the heads of the tribes concerning the children of Israel, saying, This is the thing which the Lord Yahweh hath commanded. If a man vow a vow unto the Lord, or swear an oath to bind his soul with a bond. So if you vow a vow unto the Lord, or you put yourself under an oath, that's what it means by binding his soul with a bond. So you're under this oath, right? And there's a penalty for breaking it. He shall not break his word. You can't go back on your word. He shall do according to all that proceedeth out of his mouth. Whatever you said you will do, whatever this oath or this vow is, you better do it. If a woman also vow a vow unto the Lord, and bind herself by a vow or by a bond, being in her father's house in her youth. So if this woman is unmarried and she lives with her father, she's in her father's house, and her father hear her vow and her bond wherewith she hath bound her soul. So what she says she's going to do and what penalty would happen to her if she didn't do it. And her father shall hold his peace at her. So if the father hears her making this vow and doesn't say anything, that's what it means to hold your peace. You don't say anything. Then all her vows shall stand, and every bond wherewith she hath bound her soul shall stand. So all the vows she says she's going to take, basically the terms of the vow or the contract are now set officially. But if her father disallow her in the day that he heareth it, so he said, no, you ain't doing that. No, I'm not going to allow that. It's not going to happen. Not any of her vows or of her bonds wherewith she hath bound her soul shall stand. And the Lord shall forgive her because her father disallowed it. So what this is saying is a woman that lives under her father's roof, right? She's unmarried. If she makes a vow, her father can disannul that vow. It's only valid if he allows it, i.e. he holds his peace and he doesn't disannul it. Verse 6, and if she had at all an husband, when she vowed or uttered aught out of her lips, so she vowed or spoke out of her mouth, wherewith she bound her soul, and her husband heard it and held his peace at her in the day that he heard it. So now this is we went through the case of a woman, right, that's unmarried, living in her father's house. The other is if she is married and her husband, which is of a higher authority than her, hears this vow that she makes. As it says here, if he holds his peace, he doesn't say anything, then her vows shall stand, and her bonds wherewith she bound her soul shall stand. But if her husband disannul or disallow her on the day that he heard it, he says, nope, I'm not going to allow that. You're not doing that. That vow is not going to stand. Then he shall make her vow which she vowed, and that which she uttered with her lips, wherewith she bound her soul, of none effect, and the Lord shall forgive her. So there will be no guilt or no punishment for breaking that vow because her husband or her father disannulled it. But every vow of a widow and of her that is divorced, wherewith they have bound their souls, shall stand against her. Yeah, because in this case, there's no father, right? They're not living in their father's house, and their husband is not there to disannul it. So whatever vow they take is going to stand. And if she vowed in her husband's house, or bound her soul by a bond with an oath. So when you, as it says, let me see here. Bound herself by an agreement with an oath, NLT. Suppose a woman is married and living in her husband's home, when she makes a vow or binds herself with a pledge. That's what it means. I bind her soul by a bond. That is basically taking that vow. I vow to do such and such. So it says here, if she vowed in her husband's house, and her husband heard it, and held his peace at her, and disallowed her not. So he heard it, he didn't stop her, he didn't disallow it. Then all her vows shall stand, and every bond wherewith she bound her soul shall stand. But if her husband hath hath utterly made them void on the day he heard them, then whatsoever proceedeth out of her lips concerning her vows, or concerning the bond of her soul, shall not stand. Her husband hath made them void, and the Lord shall forgive her. So if he, once again, he disannuls it, right when he hears her say it, he stops her. He says, no, it's not happening. He has the power to override that. Every vow and every binding oath to afflict the soul, her husband may establish it, or her husband may make it void. And that afflicting of the soul is like like fasting or giving up something, right? Like you're when you give up something, you afflict your soul, because it's not a pleasurable thing, right? So the husband has the power to make it establish it, or to make it void, right? To disannul it. But if her husband altogether hold his peace at her from day to day, then he establisheth all her vows, or all her bonds which are upon her. He confirmeth them, because he held his peace at her in the day that he heard them. So he didn't say anything, he didn't stop her. That is taken as an action of, okay, you have allowed it. But if he shall anyways make them void after he hath heard them, then he shall bear her iniquity. Basically, if after he has heard it and he kept his peace and it now went into effect, he turns around and then tries to disannul it, the penalty is going to fall on him. The guilt, the punishment of breaking that vow will now fall on him, because he heard it and he allowed it, and now he's trying to turn around and break it. These are the statutes which the Lord commanded Moses between a man and his wife, between the father and his daughter, being yet in her youth in her father's house. And that brings us to the end of the book of Numbers, the 30th chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rachak Wadash. And until next time, Shalom.